Yeah, I'm not going to read poetry. I'm going to read a couple pages of the short story that appears in the Little Patuxent Review. Thank you so much, Chelsea, for accepting it. I'm thrilled that it will appear in your pages, that it is appearing in your pages. Aftershocks. In Kalamazoo, the microphone keeps cutting out on her, which is okay because it's a small space and only 5 people have showed up for the reading. One of them, a guy who falls asleep before she gets through the second of 10 pages she plans to read. Afterwards, Steffi sells 2 books from a stack of them piled on a card table, both copies to a cousin of the bookstore owner who buys one for his mother and another for his girlfriend Camille, 2 M's, 2 L's, who loves stories about animals. Steffi doesn't have the heart to tell him that the elderly lab speedball dies in the final story. The agent had tried to talk her out of killing the dog, and though Steffi had given in on a number of plot points, she refused to budge on that one. The agent would later claim that the goddamn dead dog had cost him a major deal with an editor at one of the big 5 publishing houses, which is probably another one of his lies. Everyone knows that books of linked short stories were a tough sell. Also, Steffi had slept with the agent twice before he came clean and admitted that he and his wife weren't exactly divorced, only separated and only during the week. After the reading, the bookstore owner, Madge, agrees that indie books are indeed a tough sell, which is why it's so important for indie authors to connect with indie bookstores like hers. She blames the faulty microphone and the poor turnout on yesterday's earthquake, which registered 4.2 on the Richter scale. People are understandably nervous about aftershocks. An earthquake in Michigan, Steffi says. Madge nods. Major faults, she says. You have no idea. The guy who fell asleep stuffs a handful of cookies in his pocket as a reward for folding and stacking the rows of unsat upon chairs. Steffi, who'd envisioned a nice night out with people who'd attended her reading, settles for a quarter pounder and a large order of fries from the McDonald's drive-thru on her way back to the chain hotel where she's staying. The bathwater is lukewarm, and the people next door are having a long, loud argument in which the name Melvin comes up again and again before they settle into some vigorous headboard banging sex. When the agent texts to ask about the reading, Steffi is deep into a Law and Order marathon. The good years when Lenny is still alive and Lieutenant Van Buren is still sassy and full of good comebacks. Steffi writes that she sold a lot of books, and yes, Ann Arbor will be even better. Turns out there was an earthquake, one that was felt by thousands of people in a 5-state region, according to a geophysicist who's interviewed on the Weather Channel. Michigan, apparently, is a part of the Canadian Shield, which is very old, very hard rock through which energy waves travel quickly and easily and are deeply felt. Steffi takes a slow way to Ann Arbor, a 2-lane highway that meanders up shallow hills and curves around ponds bordered by barns faded pink over time. It's longer by an hour or more, but it's prettier and probably safer in the long run. If there is another earthquake, she figures it's far easier to exit a 2-lane road than I-94, a horror show of short entrance ramps and potholes and luxury cars blasting along at 90 miles per hour. Steffi had included many of those same cars on the vision board she made while she worked on her stories. A creativity coach had told her that vision boards were a good idea if you were embarking on a journey that was so long it was possible to lose sight of the shore. Her vision board also included pictures of apartments so far above the city that a wall of windows in the living room appeared to open up to a cloud. After a while, she gave up on the idea of dream cars and a penthouse apartment and accepted the real estate of her life, a window overlooking a brick wall spray painted in gibberish and one distinct yellow and red fuck in balloon letters, the Freedom Tower in the near distance where the Twin Towers used to be. She wrote the way she brushed her teeth in the morning and again at night. She wrote in the slits of time between grading freshman essays or copy editing rom-coms written by blonde women with sorority names, Courtney or Brooke, who used winter and summer as verbs. They sell millions of copies and get interviewed on morning shows where they sit next to the host. No dogs die in their stories because they can't afford treatment. None of their characters has to sit down and explain to the dog that the small dark spot on their spine isn't going away. But before it gets too awful, the woman in the story is going to grill a steak for him on the rusted rooftop grill that smells of onions and farts. She'll cut up the meat and feed the dog little bits, making sure he chews and swallows. And when he's eaten everything and licked his plate clean, she'll clip on his leash, the red plaid one that she knows is his favorite, and tell him they're going for a ride. Won't that be fun? Thank you.